What's going on, everyone? Ronan here, and welcome back to the channel. This part today we got for What If Brock Took the Gym Challenge is going to be setting up a lot of things for the boy. But before we get into that, we got a couple of things we got to touch on. We got to touch on the patron. Gray Leo, thank you very much for your support. And also, you guys' engagement is very important. So make sure to drop a like and drop a comment and turn on notifications so that way you'll never miss an upload. And also, don't forget to subscribe so we can help get to a larger audience. With all that being said, let's get into What If Brock Took the Gym Challenge Part 4. I hope you enjoy. We begin today's tale on the outskirts of Pewter City with the one person that we didn't think would make it this far, Joe, Brock's best friend. He's come to Pewter City because he seeks Brock. He needs to inform him that he was never expelled from school. It was all just a ruse set out by that evil girl Giselle. And since it's the start of summer, Joe figures that him and Brock could spend some time together outside of school and really get to know each other. However, there is one thing that Joe has to do before all of that can happen, and that's find Brock, or more importantly, find the Pewter Gym. While Pewter isn't the biggest city, the problem that Joe finds is that everything is very sparse, so it takes him a while to actually get from point A to point B when trying to get directions for the gym. But the boy has tenacity on his side, and he eventually finds his way to the Pewter Gym, hoping to find Brock inside. However, that's not what he comes across, instead finding many other humans that look similar to Brock, but much younger, his brothers and sisters. They've been playing in the gym because their father just finished up a gym battle not too long ago, so they were cleaning it up so they can get ready to close it down for the day. And this is where Joe gets a chance to meet Flint, to which the gym leader greets the boy, telling him he's sorry, but he's gonna have to come back tomorrow as he doesn't have any more Pokemon that can battle. However, Joe is quick to inform Flint that's not the reason he's here. He's actually here to see Brock, of all people, to which surprises the old man. Flint inquires who the boy is, to which Joe informs him of his name and the relationship he has with his son. Basically, back at the school, they're best friends. And he had come all the way out here to see Brock, since school had let out and summer vacation had begun. However, Flint tells the boy that he's sorry that he wasted his time coming out here, but Brock actually isn't here. He left a note a few days ago saying that he was returning to the school because the headmaster had requested him to come back so they can talk about him starting early and possibly getting bumped up a grade because of him doing so well with his grades and his battling skills. This is where that it clicks for Joe that Brock never told his dad about what had happened, so Flint is still under the impression that Brock is still in school. Which means if Brock thinks that he's no longer in school, where did he go? Knowing that there's information that he just doesn't quite have yet, Joe feigns ignorance and pretends to be stressed out. After all, he came all this way just to see Brock, and now he has nowhere to go and nothing to eat because he's just a 10-year-old boy. Joe begins to turn on the waterworks at this, which gets Flint and all of Brock's siblings to stare at him a bit awkwardly. And in order to try and calm the boy down, Flint tells him not to worry. He can stay the night with them and have as much food as he wants, just as long as Joe stops crying. Briefly sobbing, Joe thanks the gym leader, telling him he wouldn't forget the kindness that he's being showed, and he knew Brock's father was a great man. Right, anyway, we're done here for the day, so why don't we head back to the house, so that way we can get you a place to sleep and get some food for you and the rest of the kids, and even me, because I'm starving as well after a long day of gym battles. We now find ourselves when it's right about dusk, and everyone is sitting down to eat. Flint gets to know Joe a little bit more, to which the boy is very inquisitive, asking about everything that Flint may know about Brock. Flint tries to be as helpful as he can when it comes to his son, but truth be told, he really doesn't know much about him, ever since he returned from being a professional trainer. This is where Joe gets the full story about Brock, his mother, and his father, and how things currently are. He can see why things are tense between Brock and Flint. However, that's still no excuse for Brock to just run off like he has. And unfortunately for Joe, the information he was seeking just hasn't shown up yet, and he's slowly running out of time and questions to ask. But almost like the universe was gonna throw him a bone, whether it was good or bad, the doorbell rings, to which Flint says that they're not expecting anyone, so he excuses himself from the table for a moment while he goes to check who it is. As Joe hears the door crack, and Flint greet the person on the other side, an exchange of words can be heard. However, what exactly is said can't be made out except for one thing. Man, a lot of you guys have been showing up today. Well, come on in. The more, the merrier. Seconds later, Flint returns to the table, accompanied by somebody that Joe was not expecting to see. It's Giselle, and the look on her face is one of pure disgust, like she wouldn't be normally caught dead in a place like this. All of the kids, and how small this house is, it's just unbecoming of people. How could Brock live like this, she thinks to herself. However, her inner monologue is interrupted by Flint when he asks her if she would like something to eat. They have plenty to go go around. Giselle politely declines through gritted teeth, trying not to show off her absolute disgust of the situation. She actually wastes no time in getting straight to the point, asking if Brock is here. She has to talk to him about his expulsion from the school. This causes Flint to laugh vigorously. Expulsion? What do you mean expulsion? My son's the top of his class. He wouldn't be expelled. He was actually on his way back there now in order to meet with the headmaster, so that way he can get bumped up a grade due to all of his great battling scores and all of the great test scores he's had of late. However, Flint's laugh slowly peters out as he can see the look on both Giselle and Joe's face, signaling that what she speaks is in fact the truth. Wait, you're telling me that Brock lied to me the entire time he was here? You're telling me that he is currently not on his way back to the academy and he is now missing in action because he ran away? You're telling me that he got expelled? Flint says in a frustrating tone, to which Joe replies, "Not exactly, sir. You see, I had come here to try and find Brock to inform him that he wasn't expelled. His battle was a legal one, and because of it, he was able to come back to school no problem." Wait, so somebody had tricked him into a battle that was unsanctioned, and now he thinks he got expelled when he really didn't? Who'd be so cruel to do something like that? This is where Giselle begins to sweat bullets, as Joe has her perfectly cornered and could spill everything. But the boy doesn't do that. Instead, he merely says, "We don't know who was the person behind it, but we do know that he wasn't expelled, so I was actually sent here by the headmaster to bring Brock back." This is where Flint asks why the headmaster would not contact him directly, but Joe is quick on his feet with answers, as the boy explains that he didn't want Flint to think that he was inadequate in teaching his son, and he figured that if one of his friends came to get him, then it would be the perfect cover, so that way it wouldn't raise any suspicion and everything can go on as if nothing had happened. This is where Flint has a realization, and he stands up from the table. He immediately darts off to a room at the back of the house where he keeps all of his possessions from his days as a trainer. All of the kids, Giselle and Joe, follow the gym leader, only to hear a blood-curdling "no" ring throughout the building. As they turn the corner to look in the room, there stands Flint, looking at a very empty picture frame on his desk to where he used to keep his sponsorship letter for the Galar League. "What's wrong?" Joe asks, to which Flint responds that it's nothing, but he's gonna have to inform their headmaster that Brock will not be returning to school after summer ends. This causes two things to happen. With Joe, he immediately gets sad because that means his one friend, the only friend he had in the school, is going to be gone. As for Giselle, this becomes a moment of internal panic because she desperately needs Brock to return to the school. This is where Flint tells the two students that they are more than welcome to stay the night. However, in the morning, they're going to have to head back and tell the headmaster what they know. Joe asks one final question before they're showing their rooms, to which it's a simple one. Where did Brock go? And Flint only has one answer for them: Galar. Now we cut to later that night with Giselle and Joe alone in a room as they are forced to share Brock's old bed. Yet another instance to where Giselle finds herself absolutely disgusted with the situation, but she doesn't have a choice. And at the current time, that's the least of her worries, as she needs to figure out how to get Brock back. And this is where the girl attempts to go to sleep so that way she can get her brain to clear out and actually think of a solution to this problem. But unfortunately for her, with her sharing a room with Joe, all she can hear is the excessive writing that he's putting in his book, and the scratching of the pencil on the paper causes the girl to lose it as she bolts up in the bed and yells at Joe to stop that excessive racket. She's got real problems over here, and she can't figure out a solution with him doing all of that noise. However, Joe just tells her that she's pathetic. Why would she even come here in the first place? Was it just to rub it in so that way you can tell Brock that even though he didn't get expelled, you were the better battler, trying to hope that he wouldn't want to come back after being humiliated? These comments from Joe are the tipping point for Giselle as everything comes boiling over. The girl yells, "No, that's not it. If I don't get Brock to come back to the school, then I'm gonna be the one to be expelled. I need him to clear up the whole situation and explain that we were just having a friendly match. There was no malicious intent behind it. If I don't get Brock to come back and set things straight, then my entire life will be over. Everything I've worked for into the school will be done as I'll be expelled. I'll never be able to get into another institute for the rest of my life. I'll lose everything I've worked for. My parents, all the money they've spent. It'll all be worthless. I'll be disowned," Giselle says with a bit of tear running down her cheek. However, this doesn't trigger the reaction from Joe that she was expecting, because the boy is all out of sympathy for the rich girl, as Joe slowly starts to chuckle. "Wow, I can't believe it. Even when somebody is missing, you still find a way to make it about you. Brock owes you nothing. What makes you think he would actually do that for you? Especially after all you've done to mistreat him. Face it, Giselle, you're gonna lose everything that you hold dear to yourself. So, in the morning, just return to the Pokemon Institute and count the days that you have left, because they're numbered. Well, I'm gonna go find Brock. I'm not just gonna sit around and wait for my friend to lose out on his potential future because somebody decided to try and steal it from him. Giselle wants to say something, however, she's interrupted by a knock on the door, to which the two in tandem both say, "Who is it?" And to their surprise, it's the oldest of the younger siblings of Brock, Forrest. He's come to ask them a question. As Joe opens the door to let Forrest in, the boy gets straight to the point. He asks them if they're going to go find his older brother, to which Joe says that's his intention, and he's going to be leaving first thing in the morning. This is where Forrest looks Joe square in the eyes. "Please, don't let anything happen to Brock. Ever since Mom died, he's just been lost, and I know with you as his friends, he can be found." Both Giselle and Joe look each other as we cut away to the hero of the hour, Brock, who has finally arrived in the region of Galar. More importantly, he's arrived at the site of his first gym battle, the gym of Turfield, the one that his father couldn't beat. The boy has it in his head that it couldn't be that hard. After all, it is only the first gym leader of the region, so they're supposed to be weak by comparison to the other ones. So with Brock's misappointed sense of security, he decides to head into the gym to challenge this gym leader that was able to best his father, all the while clutching his father's sponsorship letter with the words of the old man ringing in his ear. If he didn't have one, then the gym leaders may take his challenge, but they would probably just laugh him out of the building for not being sponsored. "I hope this works," he says to himself. Once he enters the gym, it doesn't take Brock long to find some people that are inside. Mostly a big, burly, strapping young lad who's playing with some Pokemon known as Wooloo. The guy seems to be oblivious to Brock's presence as he's just enjoying the moment, like he has no other cares in the world. The boy watches as the nervousness about the letter turns into frustration when the acknowledgement that he feels like he should have gotten by now just doesn't come, with the laughter of the man causing him to become slightly irritated. This triggers an outburst from Brock as he demands for some attention, declaring he is Brock of the Kanto region, and he is here for a gym battle. The man that was rolling around in the grass stands up, with a brief chuckle telling them it's time to call it a day. It seems like he has to get back to work. A cacophony of sad baas can be heard from the sheep Pokemon as they all scamper off to different parts of the gym, while the man approaches Brock, telling him that his name is Milo, and he is the leader of the gym here in Turfield. "Well, it's about time somebody acknowledged me," Brock says. "I've been standing here for what seems like an eternity. I'm here for a gym battle." "Sure thing, little man, but I have a question first. Do you happen to have your sponsorship letter with you?" Milo asks with a big smile on his face, to which Brock clutches his hand and presents the letter to the gym leader, merely flashing it, trying to avoid him actually reading it. But Milo says that won't do. He actually has to read the letter to ensure that it's legit. Reluctantly, Brock hands over the piece of paper, telling Milo he doesn't understand what the big deal is. It's just a letter. After all, his dad is a gym leader in Kanto, and they just battle anytime somebody shows up. Well, even though your dad's a gym leader in Kanto, not to take anything away from his position of power, that's not how we do things out here in Galar. So I'm gonna need you to be patient while I read this over. Milo gives the letter a quick read, to which something seems a bit off to it, but he can't quite put his finger on it. The letter is legitimate. It has the official seal of the chairman of the Pokemon League here in Galar, so there's no reason why he couldn't accept this Brock's challenge with this official sponsorship letter. And considering Milo spent all that time rolling around with the Wooloo, his brain may be a little bit off. So the gym leader puts his suspicions to the side for now, accepting Brock's challenge, telling the boy to follow him. Along the way, Milo explains the terms of their battle. They'll have a 2-on-2, and Brock will be allowed substitutions. The battle will be over when one side is out of all of their Pokemon. Does Brock understand the term of their agreements? Milo asks as they enter the main battle arena. The only thing Brock can do is nod to signify that he understands the terms of their battles as he looks at the Turfield stadium that is surrounded by him. He's never seen a battlefield this big for a gym battle before. He asks what the deal is, to which Milo doesn't understand the question. This is where we're going to have our Pokemon battle. But Brock inquires even further, questioning why they would need something this big. This question causes Milo to chuckle for a moment, as he realizes that Brock doesn't have a Dynamax band. So he puts 2 to 2 together with Brock mentioning that he had come from Kanto. He must not be aware of what Dynamax actually is. Well, maybe he'll get a chance to show the boy what it's about. Milo simply responds to Brock, don't worry, you'll see soon enough why we're gonna need this battlefield. But for now, let's take your position, shall we? Above the two, hover a piece of technology known as a Rotom referee, and it signifies that it will be the judge of this battle. So whenever the two are ready, they can begin. Though things are massively different for when it comes to a gym battle than back home, Brock doesn't let this slow him down, as he decides to go with his starter, declaring, "Caracal, I choose you." The smoldering pile of pebbles emerges from its Pokeball, ready for its first chance at an actual gym battle, to which Brock tells it to be ready. They're going to have a chance to get their first badge together. Letting out a brief bellow of smoke, Caracal signifies that it's ready, while Milo is sitting on the other side of the field trying to figure out if Brock is intelligent or incredibly stupid. Either way, he's going to find out when he sees what Milo's first Pokemon is, as he sends in a Pokemon known as Flapple. As the little Pokemon emerges from its balls, flapping its arms mightily to try and stay airborne, Brock can do nothing but break down into laughter at this thing. He's never seen something so hysterical in his life. This kinda irritates Milo and Flapple both. This boy doesn't seem to have any respect for them as opponents. And for him to openly mock Flapple and its strength before they've even had a chance to battle is very rude. However, Brock's amusement is going to come to an end quickly, as the Rotom Ref hovers above and tells him that if he doesn't make a move and engage in the actual battle, then he will forfeit this. So Brock decides to take the first move, ordering Caracal to use a Flame Charge. After all, this thing looks to be like a grass type. Now glowing in a red aura, Caracal prepares to bolt down the field and throw the full weight of its body into this mighty flapping apple. However, Milo isn't amused by what just happened, and he intends to make an example out of Brock and his starter Caracal. Right away, as Caracal darts down the field, Milo orders Flapple to fly up, put it in a position where it's out of range of Caracal because the lumbering pile of rocks can't jump that high. And then, as soon as the fire fades from around it, it is met with something that's going to cause a decent amount of damage when Flapple hits it with an energy ball. This briefly stuns the charcoal Pokemon before something happens. A brief glowing, to which Brock wonders what it could possibly be. However, Milo knows exactly what this was. It was a stab drop from the energy ball, which he aims to take advantage again when he orders Flapple to fire off another one. However, Brock is quick to counter when he orders a rock throw in an attempt to divert the attack. But unfortunately for Caracal, it's not going to be able to get the attack off in time, as it's struck broadside by another energy ball, bringing his time in this battle to an end. This causes Brock to freeze for a minute. Wait, how did Caracal just lose that easily? To which Milo now briefly pokes and prods fun at him, asking Brock if he's okay after being taken out by such a pathetic Pokemon. He thought his big, strong pile of boulders was going to be able to take out Milo's first choice, but it seems at this point everything is on the other foot. This wee bit of taunting from Milo, though meant to be fun, has actually irritated Brock to the point to where he's not going to give Milo the chance to get any more ground on him, as he recalls his starter and pulls out the once most powerful Pokemon of his mother's arsenal. Brock declares, "Gyarados, I choose you." As the water serpent emerges from its ball, Milo quickly becomes concerned, as if this boy has actually managed to train a Gyarados, then things may be a little bit more tougher than he thought. But unfortunately, it's going to be the exact opposite when he realizes that this Gyarados has no training whatsoever, or at least formal training by the boy, as when Gyarados pops from the ball, it takes a look around, not recognizing anything, and more importantly, only seeing Brock. And this is going to be where things get really dicey, as the reoccurring theme with Gyarados comes back into play, as it hasn't been out of the Pokeball since the last time it was when Brock used it to battle Flint, and the gym leader was forced to subdue it so that way he can recall it. Which means this is going to trigger one thing: a world-class Gyarados rampage, as it begins to fire off hyper beams, destroying surrounding areas of the battlefield. The serpent holds nothing back as it attacks everything in sight: Brock, the Wooloo that are scampering about trying to find cover, Milo and his Flapple. This is where the gym leader tells the boy that he needs to get a hold on his Pokemon. Why would he dare bring something like that into battle? However, this is where Milo sees the look on Brock's face. He's absolutely terrified. He's frozen in fear. He can't move at all, and Gyarados is just rampaging about. This is where Milo realizes that he's going to have to take things in his own hands, as he activates his Dynamax band. This is going to be the only way that he's going to be able to stop this Gyarados. Recalling Flapple, the ball that it recedes back into begins to grow larger and larger in size, until Milo rethrows it once more. as both Brock and Gyarados watch what pops from the ball, a building-sized Pokemon. However, Gyarados doesn't fear this thing as it begins to lay another round of attacks onto Flapple. However, Milo's newly Dynamax Dragon has no time for this, and it uses its new power to quickly subdue Gyarados, knocking it out by firing a Max Maelstrom that catches Gyarados in the mighty Typhoon, slamming it against the gym wall. Wasting no time, Milo yells for Brock to recall Gyarados before it can cause any more damage. Being snapped back to reality, Brock does so, relieved that the danger is now finally over. With Flapple standing mightily above his shoulder, Milo walks over to Brock, telling the boy that he felt like there was something off with him when he presented that sponsorship letter. Though that letter may be legit, Brock isn't ready for this type of competition, so he should just pack up and go to a weaker league. After all, there's no way he will be able to even challenge one gym here in Galar, let alone all 8. And this is going to be where we leave things for now. So tell me, how did you feel about this part? How did you feel about Joe trying to get Brock to come back to the Pokemon Institute so that way he can get reinstated? How did you feel about Giselle trying to save her skin so that way she doesn't get expelled? And do you think that they're going to be able to make any progress in trying to find Brock in the Galar region? And what about Brock himself and his gym battle with Milo? I know it wasn't that long, but do you think Brock ever stood any type of chance? And is that sponsorship letter that he stole from his dad going to actually be able to get him access to the whole league? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And that's all we had for today's video. I really appreciate you guys stopping by to watch all the way to the end, and I just wanted to say thank you for that. If you guys really enjoy my content, consider following me on some of my other platforms like Discord, where you can get to know other people who are interested in what ifs, or on Twitter, where I post sometimes behind the scenes updates. Or if you want to help the channel grow a little bit extra, why don't you consider donating like the people right here have, as whatever you could offer could help us get to a larger audience by helping us get new videos done, or some of the projects that we were custom art is getting kind of expensive. So we want to make sure that we have the funds to do that. But with all that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed everything, and I will see you in the next video.